Let's talk about Kelly bars. Okay, where'd the term Kelly bar come from? Everybody asks, where's that name Kelly, and who is this guy, and why do we call that a Kelly? Well, it's an oil field related term. Back in the late 1800s, drill pipe was always round. There was no Kelly bar, it was all round drill pipe. And the table drive was a big bull wheel that was ran, and there was a cog in the middle of it, and there was a clamp that clamped on the round drill pipe. And it was a worm screw. In fact, the hand that works on a drill rig today is still called a worm hand. He still adopted that name. But he has to clamp that screw down to clamp that drill pipe so that it can vertically travel up and down on rollers and also engage in rotation at the same time. So if the clamp is too loose, it loses rotation. If it's too tight, it loses its feed. So it's interesting, at that time, back in the 1800s, there was no radio. Radio didn't come about until the 1920s, but in 1880s, everybody listened to the phonograph. And a lot of the people that worked on drill rigs stayed at boarding homes. So there was always a pot of stew on the stove, and they would have social events out in the front foyer or out on the porch, and they'd listen to this phonograph. And the phonograph had a very popular song back in the 1880s. It was called Slide, Kelly, Slide. Now, Slide Kelly Slide was from a baseball player named Mike King Kelly. And Mike King Kelly played for the Chicago White Stockings and several other teams. But the Chicago White Stockings, he took to the pennant 5 times. And in those 5 years, he led the organization in stolen bases. At one time, he had 84 stolen bases, but he was always over 50 stolen bases every year because he had a unique slide technique. So he's very flamboyant, and he later got into vaudeville acting in his retirement, but the song was developed because of Mike King Kelly and his unique slide. In fact, the battle cry of the audience was always Slide, Kelly, Slide. So as you're listening to this and a song is in your head, you hear it repeatedly sometimes, And so here the drillers are out on the rig, and somebody says, instead of using a round pipe, let's use a square pipe for the Kelly. Or well, it wasn't called a Kelly then, but a square pipe for it, and that worm gear then won't slip on rotation. Why won't we do that? That should work. So when that happened, and the worm hand didn't have to be married to that screw clamp all the time, and the driller wasn't chewing on him anymore, he said, Slide, Kelly, Slide. And that's how this Kelly bar got to be called a Kelly bar, to Mike King Kelly.
This video was made courtesy of Peer Research, the standard of excellence, manufacturer of high-quality alignment and centralizer products for the deep foundation and earth retention industries.